Hi guys. I wanted to do a video today about making envelopes and not needing any special envelope board or scoreboard or any of those things. I am going to use my bone folder probably because, I like to have folds, but you could use the handle of your scissors or something like that. But I wanted to discuss how to do this without any fancy tools. We're going to use something to press our folds down, some scissors, some glue, and some fancy pictures. This happens to be a calendar. It's more horizontal than vertical. I've chosen one of those to kind of give you an idea how to do that one. And this one has sort of a center focal point. So we're going to work our envelope based on that space. I also have pictures from this book, which is very horizontal. And I just have one out of it. And it doesn't have an exact focal. You could choose to have this area be the focal or that area be the focal. It has some options as to what you want it to look like. It's a different size piece of paper too, so we're going to get into that. We're going to start with just a basic piece of copy paper, but I also have these pictures out of a big book that are vertical, and this one doesn't have so much of a focal, but it does sort of have an area where I like it better. This one definitely has an area that I like it better. Those are meant that I just pulled two. I wanted to give you some information about looking at the photo and realizing that you don't have to fold your envelope the same way every time. Now, there's also rules about envelopes. So once we learn how to fold them, we'll have to learn about the rules. With this particular piece of paper, this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I am just going to fold it up like this. Fold it down so that my flap comes over this. Doesn't matter exactly how much. This envelope's going to fit well within the guidelines. Now there is a size for small. I think it's 3.5 by 5 is a basic small envelope. Then the largest envelope you can send for a single stamp is 6 by 9. If you go outside that range, it becomes a package, just so you know. So once I have those two folds in, I am going to go in here, and because this doesn't matter, I'm just going to fold in this about 1/2 inch. And as long as my folds are straight, I should be fine. I don't need a scoreboard. I don't need a fancy. I need enough of this so that when I start gluing my bottom piece up, it has something to glue to. That is what I need. Now, we're going to remove parts of this envelope, or parts of this piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is I am going to show you which pieces we're going to take out. I'm going to draw some lines just because those are fold lines right there. Okay? Can you see that? This pencil doesn't draw very dark. Just a minute. I'll get a dark one. This is a nice dark pencil. Okay, so that is the fold lines. Okay, and we're going to take out these corner pieces. We're going to make sure to leave this flap and this top flap, and this is the back side of our envelope. And when I take these out, I am going to cut slightly at an angle from the piece I'm keeping to the corner. So I'm going to go in here just 1/8 of an inch and angle it down. It will just fold together better. If you cut it right on the fold line, it would be all right, but they just lay a little nicer if they're cut at an angle. Down to the corner where now, can you see? I've just that little tiny wedge right there and little tiny wedge right there. And I'm going to do that with this piece as well. I drew neater on those fold lines so it's easier to see. It doesn't have to be much of an angle, just a little bit. This long one is one you don't want to get too much of an angle on, just simply because you don't want to get too far in here at the top, but I didn't get quite enough out at the bottom, so I'm going to take just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to glue our envelope together. And all we have to do is simply flip it up. I'm going to put glue right here on this edge. Now you could use two double-sided tape if you wanted. I usually use glue because I prefer it, but that's beside the point. Now, the other thing is if you wanted your fancy envelopes ready to go, you could put double-sided tape here and just wait and then peel it off and turn it down when you're ready. So we have just made ourselves an envelope. All right. So, yay. Okay. No fancy tools. Now then, let's grab this image from the calendar. First off, I really love his face. That is the focal point. That's what I really want to show up on my envelope. So I am going to fold the top down where his face is almost right at the top, because I also want part of his body. Okay, now here's where we run into the situation that we have to have 6 inches or less if we want to send this for one stamp. The other thing is we must have enough of this to go up underneath our other piece. I don't have to have a lot, but I need to have a little bit. So how much does that make it? It's only 5 inches, so we're good. And you see, I'm only coming up underneath here about 1/2 inch. You gotta have a little bit of room to. So I'm gonna lose the owl's tail feathers to the back of the envelope. But now I have that. And I really love how he looks. He looks real good right there. So now, how long is this piece? If I go 9 inches, I've got quite a bit of side that I'm going to get to fold in on this particular envelope, because it's only going to be 5 inches tall, but 5 1/4 inches tall, but I can still have it be 9 inches long. So I'm going to. I'd sort of like him off to the side. So see where his feathers come? that's where I'm going to fold my side piece, so that his feathers are all, as many as I can, on the envelope. Remember, keep it straight. Okay, but now the 9-inch thing really comes into play, because I can't fold an even amount on that side. So what I'm going to do is, I just do it like this. I take my ruler, and I have to remember that there's a little bit on this end of this ruler, so I have to back up just a little bit off 9 inches. I'm going to just bring this up and give it a little crease, and that way I know where to fold it to. So again, I'm going to take these corner sections out of here. And these are kind of big. There is no real need for them to be that big, and that just adds weight to your envelope. So I'm just going to cut them off a little bit. I'm going to leave myself about, oh, say 3/4 of an inch. Am I going to make a measurement? No, I'm just going to cut it off. And once again, I'm going to glue these edges. Like so. And I'm going to fold that down. Even though it had a hole for the calendar thing, it'll be just fine. But now I have my design that I want on the front of my envelope. Okay, so I'm going to do that again with a different shape. Okay, giving you a different idea of how I choose. First off, let's get this off of here. I can trim it off with the scissors later. This particular piece, I really love this moon. So once again, I'm going to fold down basically so that I have that moon showing. Okay. But now this is where the 6x9 thing comes in again, because we can only have 6 inches deep. I have plenty to make it 9 going this way, but I have to get off some of this other. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do my thing where I measure 6 from the top edge of my envelope, and I'm just going to do a little fold. And I'm going to make sure I fold it up straight. Now I'm going to have to take some of this off because obviously it's too deep. So I'll just fold this back a little bit and cut it right along that fold line. Okay, so sorry about that. My videos had to be stopped. I cut this little piece off just so that it wasn't going up quite so high. And now we have to determine the sides. Well, this particular book is not much more than the 9 inches. It's about 10 inches wide. So that gives me a little over ½ an inch that I'm going to fold each side in. And I'm not going to make you watch me cut the corners out again. But that would be the back of our... Actually, this is where I put my address on the back. But this would be the front of our envelope. And this is a 6x9 envelope. And the reason I put my things on the back is that you need to put a white label with your writing on them. Don't just try writing on this envelope. The poor little computer at the post office cannot read through the picture. So this is two different shaped books and what you get from them. Now this book and this image, we have to think about. Do we like the bottom part of this image? Let's just, like so. Do we like the top part of the image? I happen to like this section of the image more than this section. I think that by offsetting the mountain, it's prettier. But this paper is way over 9 inches long, so I have some room to move my length, but it's not 12 inches, so I can't do a 6x9. It's going to be a little smaller. Not a big deal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this down along the image edge. This book is also very kind of heavy. So I'm going to need my doodad. And then I'm just going to fold it up where it tucks underneath my flap by that 3/8 to ½ an inch. Just enough so that I'm sure that my flap is going to cover it up. And it's going to be a 4 5/8 deep envelope. But now that gives me that portion of my image. And I'm going to just fold it from right here because I happen to think this side of the image is prettier. I just think that it flows nice. Excuse me. Then I'm going to take this, and again, I'm just going to fold it right along the edge of the image. Like so. And now I'm going to find out where my 9 inches is. Now, if you really don't care about paying for, about making this into a package where it costs more than one stamp, then you don't have to worry about that 6x9 thing. It can go as a larger envelope or an off-size envelope. There is a difference in the cost of an envelope that's a little more expensive. But now that is our envelope. And what I will do is, once again, I think I'm going to trim a little of this off just because it's kind of raggedy and I don't need it. Okay, and I'm going to, I'm just going to trim the corner out of this one so that I don't have to trim so much of it off. Remember, we have to trim our corners out before we glue it together. Okay, but I still have this huge piece, so I don't need that. I'll just trim it off. And I would trim out my other two corners and I would glue my flap up. And this would be the side. And like I said, again, I would put a white label over the top of this. Okay, sorry guys. This is apparently the day for interruptions. Anyways, I just put white labels and I put my labels on the side after I seal this down, because that way I have my pretty image unmarred by the stamps and the labels and everything. So now this last image, once again, you can move this your envelope up and down to do whatever you want. Since how I happen to like the fish more than the top part, this time what I'll do is I'll fold it like so. Okay, and I've got my fish all in here, and then I will find my 6 inches. There is nothing that says the bottom piece of my envelope has to be a lot bigger than the top piece. And I'll fold it. Okay, I missed my mark. There we go. Yep, okay. And I'll fold it down. Now this time the flap comes down over this piece quite a bit. I don't care. That's fine. I happen to know that this one is the one where I just have to fold in the edge about 1/2 inch, a little bit more than 1/2 inch. And that'll give me a touch under 9, which is not a big deal. And I have my image right where I want it. So I hope this was informative. I hope that having a standalone video for making these envelopes helps you to find it. I've done this many times in the past, and but I've never made an actual video on this is how I make envelopes. But I don't use a scoreboard. I don't use an envelope board, partially because I never know what part of the image I want to show up. So I hope this gives you just a little bit of information, and that you enjoyed this video, and it will help you in your mail art. Go have fun. Make some art. Bye-bye.